Hi, everybody. This is Addison Shonland. It's February the 17th, 2022. And I have the powerhouse people from magniX on the line. Simon Rhodes, Head of Sales. Riona Armour-Smith, CTO. Thank you very much, lady and gentlemen, for visiting with me today and having a conversation.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you for having us.
So there's a lot going on in your part of commercial aerospace.
To be honest, I mean, there's a lot of interest right now across the market in what we're doing. I think more so because we are leading the industry as the electric propulsion company. So we're taking pretty much on a weekly basis now inquiries into our product. We're talking with existing OEMs of general aviation manufacturers. We're talking to new aircraft OEMs that are building new aircraft that want to electrify. We're looking at retrofits in the marketplace for specific types of aircraft. And we recently announced some MOUs with a company in Brazil called Flapper and with Sydney Seaplanes in Australia and then Dante in Europe. So we're starting to see a lot of interest from around the globe. We're talking a lot to the European continent as well. So it's very encouraging to see that. Obviously with aviation, we've got an aircraft that hopefully is going to fly in the not too distant future to show the true value of a full electric aircraft. We've got, publicly, we have Universal Hydrogen and Tier 1 working with us as well. So we're seeing very good forward progress in that area. So it's exciting. And there's a lot of opportunity out in the marketplace for us right now.
Okay. Now, one of the things that when I was speaking to Roy, actually I first met Roy at the Paris Air Show when he was there with one PR person and a motor.
Yep.
One thing that we know about this industry, there's always, everybody wants more power. There's always this need, the need for speed. I don't know what we call it. How far can you take the motors, in terms of the power, what happens with weight? And you've mentioned the several programs. Is this a question that Riona takes?
Yeah,
yes.
I'll take this one. Yeah. So in terms of our existing products, so we have a Magni 350 and a Magni 650. And so they roughly translate into kilowatt class for those products. So we can cover quite a wide range with those two products, which are of a single family. And then into the future, I mean, there's no reason to stop there. With thoughts around megawatt class electrical systems as well. There's nothing in terms of the propulsion technology that stops us from going there, developing that. We've got a core market focus right now. We're continuing to develop our product portfolio going forward. So really it's a question of how do batteries or fuel cells keep up with the power that we can consume, really. Right,
because the project on the de Havilland -8, you're involved with that one, right?
Which one? Yeah, so I mean, we have a program ongoing with Universal Hydrogen,
yes,
which is a hydrogen fuel cell aircraft.
So that motor is the replacement there is a 5,000 horsepower turboprop.
Yeah, it's about two megawatts. Yeah,
that's huge, and you can scale what you have up to that level.
Scale, probably it's a different product, right? I mean, so we have a very high torque density, low speed, direct drive EPU solution at the minute for the smaller end of the market. We don't see the value in introducing a gearbox in this sort of market range where we currently are with our 350 and our 650. Okay. As we look up to 2 megawatts, it starts to make sense to gear up the speed of our motors. So there are certain technology building blocks, certain elements that we would take forwards into a larger product. But it's not a case of just sort of, taking the same product and extending it a bit. It won't be particularly optimized for,
right.
for that
So your
market.
650 is as big as you're going to go with the current design. Is that a fair statement?
I think that's probably fair. Yeah,
Okay.
maybe whether it truly ends at 650, I don't know. But you can see in in the market, the engines market today, you can see clear market segments which which top out, and then you go on to a different product.
Right.
And so it makes sense for us to segregate our products in that way, especially when we're looking at least initially, retrofits as new aircraft get developed. We don't want to have to wait for 5, 7, 10 years for new aircraft development programs for larger products. So we have to be able to retrofit pre-existing engines, and so that kind of forces us into choosing product sizes that at least match what exists today.
Simon, you started off talking a little bit about aviation. Obviously, that's the big news. Everybody wants to know what's going on there. I don't know, again, if it's you or Riona, can you give us some sort of update on where we are with that program?
Yeah, I'll let Riona touch on where we are, and then I can possibly talk to where we're going.
Yeah, so absolutely. So right now with aviation, we are really, partnering with them to get the aircraft to a state where it's ready to fly. So we're going through the ground test campaign at the minute. Really, from an EPU perspective, really wringing out any integration aspects, making sure that everything, we've tested the EPU extensively here on site at magniX. We've tested it in an Ironbird rig with aviation, and now it's on the aircraft and performing taxi tests. So
any surprises so far in the tests?
Surprises, probably not. No, it's gone. I mean, aircraft integration and testing a new aircraft for the first time, you always learn some things. I don't think anything major so far. There are always integration challenges, and an Alice is a very, let's say, technologically advanced aircraft, right? It's all fly-by-wire. It's a big battery system. It's EPUs. The level of novelty is really high, and so doing everything for the first time, clearly, you're going to learn some things along the way. But I don't think anything major so far. But I'm not particularly in a position to speak on behalf of aviation. But from an EPU perspective,
nothing to slow down the program.
No, I mean it's just working through integration, aspects that you do on every aircraft program.
Simon?
Yeah, and I would add that to me, aviation is a huge stepping stone. I was talking to the lobbyists in Washington prior to this conversation, and we're in many deep discussions now with the DOT and the DOE and the DOD eventually, and I look at aviation as a massive stepping stone here. It's a huge statement because the general consensus of electric aviation is there's still a lot of work to do there to educate people around the world about it. And so when I look at aviation and a pure electric aircraft built from the ground up, taking its first flights, I think that sends a huge message to the market that this is very viable, it's doable, people are doing it. We've had the E-Beaver flying for a while, but this is a purpose-built full electric aircraft. So massive statement there. Obviously, they've had that, the deal with DHL on the cargo side, but being able to offer an airframe that can do both cargo, passenger, and on the GA side, and then commercial passenger loading is that's a big deal for the marketplace.
Their biggest order was with Cape Air, right?
And they have a deal with DHL as well, which was
you're talking about for passenger service.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, and I can say that I've been privy to a lot of ongoing discussions where I see the market is going to accept that airplane very well.
Right. I remember seeing the tail dragger version at Paris. That looked awful. The tricycle gear looks a whole lot more like the 21st century.
Yeah. It's a good looking airplane.
It's really beautiful. Is. It really is beautiful. So to see it in reality rather
Right.
than just on a picture. It is beautiful.
It's so interesting to see what it looks like now, and then you know what the non-flying thing looked like in Paris in 2019.
Yeah.
It literally looks like it. Okay, now it's, you know, the shape and the tail dragger just looked very odd, and the engines on the end of the wing, or the motors, I guess, not engines. So let's talk a little bit about this whole thing around electric, hybrid. I kind of feel that we're in a bubble with this stuff. There's all this chatter and all this excitement and all these orders. I mean, you know, Embraer got some more attention this week in the Singapore Air Show. Avalon announced today that they've nearly placed all the eVTOLs that they've ordered. Is there a bubble? Am I the thorn among the roses here?
I think it's everyone is trying to do what they can in order to you know, address the challenge of climate change, and so there are, you know, multiple technologies being worked on, multiple different aircraft options being worked on. I think it's you know, it's a really exciting time for the industry. You know, with the potential of technology change, you kind of you open up a market where maybe the incumbents aren't necessarily the, you know, the people who are going to win out going forward. So I think that's why you're seeing so many different startups, you know, enter the race now, because I mean the opportunity hasn't been there before, and so with new technology comes, you know, also business case, you know, evolution, revolution, too. So there's a lot of activity going on for sure. There's a lot of funding, there's a lot of investment, which is great, you know, really great, and you know, a lot of diversity in the technology being developed, which I think is a really good thing for the market as a whole, which, you know, is quite stifled right now in terms of, you know, who are the players. It's a very small industry, and, you know, and it's just got a lot bigger. And I don't know where things will land and where it will win out. I don't even know where things will land in terms of technology, but I think in terms of electric, there is going to be electric on every single platform, right? Even if you believe that, you know, the only way to decarbonize the aerospace industry is sustainable aviation fuel, or it's hydrogen, or whatever your stance, reducing fuel burn, whatever that fuel is, in a hybrid application is still necessary, because these fuels are going to be so expensive, you know, in comparison to Jet A. And so electrification will be present in every single application. And so that's why we do electric propulsion, right? Whether we are the primary propulsive source, where it's just a motor driving a propeller or a fan, or whether we're in some kind of hybrid application where maybe we're 50% of the engine power, maybe we're only 10 or 20%, there is going to be a need for electric motors and generators and power electronics. And so that is what we do.
Yeah, and I mean, I couldn't echo that any better. I mean, and, you know, so we magniX, we remain kind of somewhat agnostic to all of those solutions right now, because it's important that we play a part in that, because there is a part for us to play, be it regardless of what the energy source is, or whether it's a hybrid interaction there. We definitely want to be at the forefront of that, and we are talking to every, you know, the majority of the customers coming to us are offering different applications. You know, obviously we want to make sure it's the right fit for us, but yeah. And to echo, outside of on the hybrid side, we start looking at other applications that we're outside of aviation as well. Where can we offer solutions outside of aviation with electric motors, hybrid solutions as well?
So the Achilles heel with the electrical stuff is batteries, right?
Maybe. Or fuel cells or whatever. Yeah, I mean, yes, energy storage, right? If you are trying to compete with kerosene, energy storage solutions right now are a challenge. And so right now you are limited in either range or passenger numbers if you look at the same aircraft like for like. If you try and take an existing aircraft and replace the fuel tanks with batteries, yes, you will see that. But we're seeing promising developments in that area, clearly. We take a keen interest in keeping a watchful eye on what's going on in the energy storage part of the industry. And like Simon said, we're very agnostic. Whether it's a fuel cell that wins out, or a battery, or maybe some combination of the two, or whatever, we frankly don't care. Our motor does not care.
The thing that I found so funny was the boss of aviation, the one that's leaving, when he said they are liars, big liars, and battery salespeople.
Yeah,
I thought that was a fabulous line. That may well go with him forever.
But I look at this from my perspective. When we talk to customers today, we give them a very candid overview of the capabilities of the product that they have today, because it's only you have to be real with them, right? But the positive from my side is that it will only get better, and it really won't change where you put it, because we expect it to go into the same space. So payload, range, etc. will only improve.
Right.
And if in this industry, time goes very quickly. We're in 2022, and by 2025, we expect to see we would expect to see improvement, right? And so nothing happens quickly. So by the time we move into new aircraft or retrofits and STCs and such like, there's a process there. So it will only get better, and that's an encouraging stance to take.
I think it offers a really interesting new route for midlife upgrades as well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, midlife upgrades are as they are today, right? Halfway through the life of an aircraft, you might do an upgrade. But I think with improvements in batteries or fuel cells, energy storage, whatever that may be, you have a really interesting business model now where you might be doing upgrades to an aircraft every 3-5 years, and getting that performance benefit for doing so. So I think that's a really interesting proposition for the market, for the aerospace market going forward.
When you make that statement, you have to put some parentheses around it, which is called certification.
Yeah, but I mean, so
well, let me just give an example.
Yeah.
For example, if for quite a while I was following the thing called electronic flight bag.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody in the airline industry really decided, the iPad is the way to go. It just does it all. The problem was, by the time that the authorities had certified the iPad 1, Apple was on the iPad 4.
Mm-hmm.
And technology races ahead of certifying authorities. So you guys might come up with some really whiz-bang stuff and have customers screaming for it, but they won't be allowed to fly with it unless put experimental on the outside, I suppose, or something. So
Yeah, I mean, but I think once you've certified a package, let's call it, a battery package, you've proven that it's, fireproof, explosion proof, all of these kind of things. I think if you keep enough of the peripheries stable, the inside technology, if you can prove that it's similar or that it meets the same standards, then, if you keep the interfaces at least the same,
Mm-hmm.
then it gives you a fighting chance. And frankly, I think it's the it's the aerospace industry's problem to solve.
right.
I like
And
having interesting problems, right? It's what we do well. So I think if it's a case of the authorities need to keep up, then how do we make that happen, right? How do we move to how do you systematically set up this as a systems engineering solution in order to go and achieve this, and what needs to remain constant, and what can you change within a certified boundary, right? If there's no short change to fit, form, or function traditionally, it's it's fine. So I don't know, I just see that there's definitely possibility there, and it's very interesting to me.
And to that point, I think it's incumbent upon us to educate the FAA on what we're doing, so that they understand our product. And then also to get the FAA on board for, on the airframe side, for the application of that into the airframe. And that it isn't going to change the, it doesn't change a significant amount. The application, the installation, those types of things, safety perspective, all of those aspects won't differ. And so we're taking the action to using people like the Department of Transportation to help educate the FAA along those lines, because we need to be ahead of that curve. Otherwise, we come out with a certified product and nothing to put it on, right? So we need to stay focused on that and ahead of it.
Talking about that, let's close with this particular item. What do you think the extent of the market is, and give me an associated timeline? Now, Rihanna, you'd mentioned by 2025 we're going to, or as Simon said, by 2025 we're going to be, the world will have changed. I remember seeing the first motor in 2019. Look where we are now. Take that same timeline and look forward. Two questions then. Let's say 2025. What is the size of the market, do you think?
Well, so when I said 2025, I was talking about battery technology and evolving, and it will evolve a long ways beyond that. When I look at a global perspective, and you look at what everybody, European governments and such like, they're saying that, emission free by 2050, right? So that's the goal.
Right.
To me, there are a lot of stepping stones to get to that goal. It's the evolution of batteries, the evolution of fuel cells, the evolution of the infrastructure to support electric aviation, the evolution of the size of the motor and the hybrid installation and how that ties in. Because if I look today at what the lowest hanging fruit is, there's retrofits on caravans and such like, right? I look at manufacturers out there that are looking to build new training aircraft. So I see a product potential there because our motor and batteries fits a training airplanes that takes off from A and lands at A. But as I look over to that roadmap to get to 2050, I see a significant evolution in short-range passenger aircraft, 19 pax aircraft, full electric. I see that evolution there. We see the hydrogen fuel cell evolution. We see aviation and Alice as a cargo aircraft, passenger type aircraft. And then, as Fiona mentioned on the hybrid solution, where does that take us into the 70, 90 passenger aircraft? And how does that, work? But I think over the next, I'll say by 2027, obviously, I think we'll see evolution in batteries and retrofits, and we'll see manufacturers that are aiming towards certification of smaller type aircraft, trainer type, and the 19 pax type aircraft evolving by 2027. Then at the same time, we'll be parallel a roadmap that goes larger, bigger, and that's more geared towards, the end of this decade and into the next.
Great. Thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.